Hi guys, and welcome back to ESL and Eyeshadow. Today is an ESL tips and tricks day, and we're going to be taking a look at the IELTS speaking exam. So, the IELTS exam, what is it? Well, it's an increment test, which means it doesn't matter if you are elementary or proficiency, you're going to get the same exam. And how we determine your level of English ability depends on how much of the exam you can get done in the time given and how many correct answers you give. So for example, a lower level user, we would expect not to complete the exam and obviously make some mistakes with their answers. And a higher level user, we may expect to finish most of the exam and get much more of their answers correct. Now, this is true for the reading, use of English, writing and listening stages of the exam, but not necessarily true for the speaking exam. The speaking exam, depending on what band you're going for, means you should be focusing on different parts of the exam to make a really good impact and make sure you get the speaking score that you want. So today we're going to be looking at speaking part 1, and this is what we call the familiar topics. Now, if you're only going for around a 4 to 5.5, and that may be all you need for, say, immigration or academics, then really you need to hit part 1, the familiar topics, out the park. You really need to do well on this one, because these familiar topics are designed to show how you would talk to somebody in English about your life. So getting to know you questions, your opinions, your experiences, but all to do with you, your life, your family, your hobbies, things like that. So first of all, the examiner will ask you a couple of warm-up questions. So let's just pop some questions down here for you, and let's have a look at the first one. And that first one is, tell me a little about your country. Now, don't go all out here. You only want to answer 1 or 2 sentences, and you really want to save your good vocabulary, because the worst thing to do is repeat high-level lexical terms. So, with a simple warm-up question like, tell me a little about your country, I don't want to know everything about the country you're from, I want to know a little. So, for example, let's say your country is China. You could respond for this particular question, I come from China. China is a very large country with one of the largest populations in the world, and its capital city is Beijing. That's it. That's all you need to say. Short and sweet for these warm-up questions. They're just there to try and make you at ease, to feel less nervous. They will ask you a follow-up question. So for example here, it would say, what are some of the good things and bad things about your country? Again, keep it short. Pick just 2 things for each. So for example, sticking with China, well, I would say that one of the worst things about my country is that there are so many people and it's quite polluted. But the good things are that the people are very friendly and the food is amazing. Again, short, clear answers. That's all you need. They may ask you the third question, but if you've answered the first 2 well enough, they probably won't. But for example, with this third question here, the follow-up, where would be your favourite place to live in your country and why? Again, a simple answer. So, I would like to live in Hefei because it's very beautiful and has a lot of lovely natural landscapes. Again, short, sweet, easy. Now we'll come on to the actual topics, and as you can see, there are 2 different topics that the examiner can choose from. Now, what topic the examiner will choose depends on a couple of things. It will depend on what topic they chose for the person before, because obviously they don't want the person before to go out and go, they're going to tell you about blah, 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 blah. So it will depend on what they've spoken about before, and also what you have answered in your previous questions, in the warm-up questions. If you've answered well and quite strongly with little mistakes, with few mistakes, then they will ask you the harder of the two sets of questions. If they see that you're nervous and that you are making a few mistakes, they will ask you the easier of the two options. So here, topic number 1 is considered to be more difficult than topic number 2. So we're going to have a look at just one of these topics, because we don't want to be here forever, but it will give you some kind of idea about how to answer familiar topics and the length of the answer that we're looking for. So we're going to look at team sports. The question here is, do you watch or play a team sport? So I would expect 3, at most 4 sentences as a response to this. So say, yes, sure, I love both watching and playing team sports. I enjoy playing basketball and I love watching football on television. That's enough. That's all you need to say. Now, if you don't like sports, you don't have to lie. You can be honest. And you can say, well, I don't really enjoy sports, so I don't watch or play any team sports. So I'm more interested in individual sports, such as tennis. So don't worry if your answer is negative. It's always better to be honest than it is to lie. The rest of the questions, as you can see, do not depend on you playing a team sport, but your opinion of them. So the first questions, do you watch or play any team sports? If you don't, be honest, say so. I prefer the gym. Now, the next question, why do you think people like playing or watching team sports? So here you can give your opinion. I believe, or I feel, people enjoy playing team sports because they come together as a team and it teaches them about team spirit and cooperation. I think people like watching team sports because it's nice to follow a team and cheer them on. If they get goals, it's very exciting. If they score points, you can celebrate with your friends. And I think it brings people together. So again, just 2, 3, at the most 4 sentences. The next question, what are some of the advantages, the disadvantages of playing or watching team sports? So here, if you had answered negatively in the first one, in that you don't play them, this is a great question for you. You can explain why you don't like team sports. So here you can say, from my perspective, playing team sports can encourage too much competition. And I think too much competition can be unhealthy, especially for young children, because sometimes young children get very upset when they don't win, and it's not nice to feel like you're on the losing team. So that's a nice thing for you to say. Now again, if you've answered well, they probably won't ask you more than 2 or 3 questions. If they don't feel they've got enough vocabulary from you, they will ask you the last question. And here, the last question is, how can we encourage younger people to do more sports? So here, you should really give recommendations. Anything that says, how should we, or as in the topic number 1, do you think government money? Recommend things, make suggestions. So for example, how can we encourage younger people to play more sport? I believe we should encourage younger people to play more sports by increasing the amount of sports available to them at their school. so they get a wider variety of sports to try. And another good way would be making more areas for sports centres or recreation grounds so that children can go and practice these sports in a safe environment. And that's it, done. Remember, for these answers, you should be keeping your vocabulary, your lexical use, not really simple, but simple. Because you want to save your idioms, your high value lexical terms for your later questions in parts 2 and 3. That's where they really are necessary. So I hope today has helped you understand what we're looking for in IELTS Speaking Part 1. Do like and subscribe if this has been helpful, and there will be new content coming shortly about IELTS Speaking Part 2 and IELTS Speaking Part 3. If there are any topics you would like me to cover about the IELTS exam or any grammar points you're having trouble with, leave a comment below and I'll be happy to make a video with the content that you need. So take care and I'll see you next time. Bye!